What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Sports Scoop. Today, it's just going to be me, Surge, and Mr. Dolphins Dylan on today's live stream.
Yes, sir.
Kian is not here. He is on vacation right now, so are going to be doing another NFL Q&A today. Dylan, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm excited to talk football.
Oh, sorry about that. So, obviously, we're going to be talking about a bit of football. Just waiting for a few people to go in here. At first, we're just going to, stop for a bit of time. But let's just start with our first topic. We're always just going to start with the topic just to get the ball rolling. Dylan, did you hear earlier that Phillip Rivers just said that he would be ready to maybe go back to playing football if he was asked again?
I did see that, and I don't know what to think of it just based on the fact that he's just clearly past the point where he can play in the NFL at this point. It showed last season, so we really don't know what's going to be the deal.
Yeah, especially without a full offseason of playing with an NFL team. It would be kind of weird for him to come in late training camp or at any time. I doubt he would come in this season. I don't know if next season would even be close to NFL caliber, especially starting caliber. But I think the reason why maybe he says that is maybe considering problems with his former team, the Indianapolis Colts, given that they've had injury problems with their quarterback, Carson Wentz. We just saw earlier they also had a problem with their all-pro guard, Quinn Nelson. So I think Phillips kind of not so subtly maybe opening the door to Indianapolis if they need him back. And it would be not exactly a seamless transition, but more of a, I don't know, maybe just like an interesting avenue and maybe an open door. And Dylan had to go for a sec. He'll be back. And I think it's a very interesting topic. Hi, Michael. Oh, we already have 4 people. How you doing, Michael? I'm just, again, if you have any questions, I don't have the banner up right now, but if you have any questions for our live stream, any questions for me, for Mr. Dolphin, Take Colts Talk, just ask us this. I am obviously not as good on camera as Kian or Dylan, but I'm just talking about some base stuff. Thank you. And Dylan is back. All right. We're just getting, guys, just make sure to ask
questions rolling. Mr. Colts, I'm going to call you that now. You must be bugged out by what's going on right now. Injuries are a problem.
Yeah. I think it could be. I think Indianapolis, they're still a very good team, but
oh yeah, for sure.
They're still a very good team. But the problem is if they want
to lead them to the playoffs, though.
I mean, a lot of Colts fans are actually confident about in Jacob Easton's ability. I would be. Stop
sugarcoating it. Stop sugarcoating it.
No. I'm not saying that he's gonna be like I'm not saying that he's gonna be like an MVP or anything. But I think a lot of people think he'd be solid starting quarterback. I remember when going into last year's draft, he was touted as maybe like one of those solid quarterbacks who could be not exactly great, but I don't know, just a solid NFL quarterback for a team that needs him. And I think, given that he's in his second season, given that he's had a year to study the playbook, get accustomed to his teammates, who knows? Maybe he can do something, given that Carson Wentz is out for 5 to 12 weeks. Problem is obviously going in without your best offensive alignment and Quinn Nelson will be hard. I think Ryan Kelly is also dealing with injuries, their center.
Yeah.
Am I right about that? I mean,
yeah, that's right.
Injuries have seriously hampered the Colts.
I'm sure they'll figure it out by at least week 5, week 6 when Wentz gets back.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know, honestly. They say 5 to 12 weeks. With the Carson Wentz, you never know, considering the injury history he's had. It's obviously very nerve-wracking because when you looked at correct me if I'm wrong, but it was dating back to high school, correct? They have to fix – I mean, maybe it's actually who knows? Maybe it's a blessing in disguise. Not the injury, of course, but maybe that they're getting it fixed now instead of the end of the season. Because who knows? Maybe one of the reasons why Carson Wentz hasn't been the same in terms of his mobile skills. Exactly. Maybe he's been playing on it. If he gets it fully fixed, he could be, who knows, maybe a better NFL quarterback. But obviously it has to hurt for Indianapolis. I think I don't think any of us were expecting this, at least this early, not even before the season starts. But it's gonna be a big test for Jacob Eason. Are the Colts working out any other NFL quarterbacks? Any like journeymen?
No, not at the moment. I'm sure that'll change very soon.
Yeah, 100%. I think with Jacob Eason, even though I'm sure a lot of Colts coaches are very confident in his abilities.
They can't
they can't go on him and like you just give him the starting job. They have to give multiple guys, make him work for the starting job, considering he is still not a rookie, but he's very unproven. I think it'd be it'd be very difficult for him to just go waltz in and be the starting quarterback week 1 with Wentz injured, especially considering, again, his inexperience at the NFL level.
Yeah.
I think, though, when does preseason start? Because I feel like we could see him in action then.
There's a game this weekend. It's August 5th.
Who's playing?
August 5th.
Steelers, Cowboys.
Steelers, Cowboys in the Hall of Fame.
That's in 2 days. Wow.
Yeah, I'm going to watch that.
I mean, it'll be really fun to see the third strings play and see who gets cut and who gets not.
I miss football.
I mean, to be honest, I know. I don't know if we'll see any of those guys in the regular season. I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll see Dak for a quarter. Obviously, they might want to. I mean, no, probably not. Because speaking of Dak, his shoulder injury, I think it's a very minor game. Yeah, it's a minor situation. But the interesting thing about it is that obviously it's going to probably hurt the amount of reps that he gets, which obviously getting reacclimated with his teammates after a brutal ankle injury obviously will be important, considering that Dallas probably have aspirations to go win the division title, probably division title. I don't think they have aspirations to go to the Super Bowl. They really want to be one of the best offenses in the National Football League. And I think with Dak getting less and less reps, it's obviously not good for them, even if it's probably a very, very minor situation.
Yeah, completely agree.
I think. Thanks, Michael. By the way, sorry I didn't get to that yet. Colts talk. Yes, I'm waiting for training camp to end. My bias is it all on Instagram. Make sure to follow him on Instagram. He does great stuff there. Yep. Ask us anything.
I should probably.
How come? Oh, let's see it. Okay, up in Colts talk.
He is on vacation. So.
He is on vacation. Speaking of Danny Dimes and the New York Giants,
my God, the
New York. I mean, this would be a perfect time to have Kean or Charlie on a live stream, considering what's been happening to the Giants recently. Reports were that obviously, if you haven't heard, the Giants had a big fight. I think it was who? How did it start?
Ryan laid out Evan Engram, and then everything went haywire.
Yeah, and apparently Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes was at the bottom of the pile, and I mean, that's serious when your quarterback of all people is like right in the middle of the scuffle. Yeah. And I can't imagine Daniel Jones being in that kind of fight. It doesn't seem that the guy is going to be.
See Daniel Jones just
lay out some punches. Oh my God! And then reports were that like Joe Judge was just
he made him run and push ups and
I mean, that's the classic like '90s head coach, the classic movie coach, high school. Like it's just
Miracle on Ice coach.
Of course, exactly. But I think with this, it's obviously a very what's the word for it? Just it's a haywire start for the Giants, especially considering a lot of their fans believe that they're good enough to challenge for the division title. Which, even though it is the NFC East, I think that's a bit. They
need things to go in their favor, and I'm not saying it's out of their hands. If Daniel Jones has a progression that is similar to the way that people think he will, I'm sure they'll do well. But I think people are overselling their defense a little bit at this point.
Yeah, I agree. I think the problem. I don't know are people really expecting Daniel Jones to have a better season that much?
Yes.
I think people are less expecting progression rather than making sure that if he doesn't have the progression, then he's out of here. I think Giants fans are either I think they're happy though with that, either that now Daniel Jones has no excuses, that if he doesn't have a good season in 2021, then he's gone. And okay, well, Colts talk. With the Colts QB injury, JT and Marlon are about to ball out due to Jacobs' inexperience, and the Colts are a run-first team. That is true. That is true. But the problem is now it's also going to be more difficult for them because a lot of teams are really going to stack the box against them. Again, I really like the idea of having multiple running backs and with multi.
They've got 4 solid running backs at this point.
JT, Marlon, Nyheim Hines, and Wilkins. Yeah, I want to make sure Wilkins is still there, but I feel like he hasn't gotten much game time recently. Or maybe that's just me. I don't know.
Let me just say.
I hope Marlon has a really good season because I remember he was one of the most underrated running backs before he had that ACL injury. Everyone was talking about, JT's going to replace him, which he did have a good season. Not to undersell JT at all, but it's more the fact that Marlon wasn't really getting the recognition in the top 20 echelon of running backs, which I thought he was because I thought he was very solid. Obviously, he did have one of the best offensive lines in the National Football League. But I still thought he was a very solid running back, and hopefully he can be the same player after then. I think he will. The problem is obviously going to be a lot more difficult with Nelson not there, with Kelly possibly being out, with their starting left tackle, also Eric Fisher.
With Jonathan Taylor taking away snaps from him. That's the key thing.
There's gonna be but for the running backs in general, it's gonna be much more challenging, especially considering most of their at least 3/5 of their offensive line isn't gonna start the season.
Yeah.
So I think it's gonna be a difficult start. I think their defense is really gonna have to pick it up, considering the offense. It's gonna be led by most likely to be led by a second-year quarterback. The receiving core, the receiving core is probably gonna be led by a second-year wide receiver who had solid. I know it's Ty, but Ty is regressing every year. He's still a good receiver, but he's not as good as he once was. So I would say the offense is going to be very inexperienced. I think JT is going to really have to pick up most of the load, and Marlon, obviously. But with that offensive line, it's going to be a lot more of a challenge. So for that reason, I think the defense is going to have to be top 5, especially during the start of the season, until Wentz comes back, until Nelson comes back, until Fisher comes back. It's going to be very, very, very interesting how the Colts start in 2021. I really like that new format also.
Yeah, I think yeah.
So that's the Colts. The Colts have obviously been the team hit by the injury bug first. Obviously, we never like to see that. Hopefully, most of these players do recover quickly and probably not in time for the season start, but hopefully not soon after.
That's the goal.
Yeah, that's the goal for Indianapolis. I think the season – once they said minimum 5 weeks, that's probably season starts. I think the 9th. Am I right? It starts I think it starts September 9th. That's when the Bucs play the Cowboys, and the Colts opening game would be on that or something. Let me see. Get that up.
I personally think Rivers is past his prime. Clearly past the point where he can function in an NFL offense now, and we saw him last. He hindered that Colt offense so much last season. You can tell.
No. I understand. I agree with that somewhat, but I think Phillip Rivers, someone who's already experienced with the Colts offense, I think it'd be better for him than Jacob Eason to start, considering he has experienced the NFL offense. Remember, he still did lead this team to the playoffs with a subpar receiving core. And I think it'd be obviously he probably wouldn't he doesn't have as much potential as Wentz, and nor would lead him to the same heights as Wentz, but he would be a good, much more stable, much more much more stable option, and an option that really the Colts could be a lot more reassured with than Jacob Eason, who also has decent potential, but also could really show up and do really well, but he could also really struggle.
Yeah. I'm excited for it to be released. Shrek is a great movie series. I'm excited.
Is it actually coming out?
Yeah.
Oh,
September 30th, 2022. I just looked it up.
Oh,
I'm very excited. You can see the green in both of our rooms. We're big Shrek guys.
Obviously, mine is. It's a green screen, but my favorite team is the New York Jets. His favorite team. What's your favorite team?
The Miami Dolphins. And I don't have that color on my LED light switch. So
that kind of looks like an aqua when you look at it again.
A little bit.
Speaking of the Dolphins now, I think...
wait, hold on. The movie hasn't been released yet, so it's not a top contender for greatest movie of all time.
I think, I don't think a movie that literally hasn't been released can... What he said. Basically, I'm not an expert with movies. I obviously know Shrek. I think most people do, but I'm excited for the release. I'll definitely watch it. I don't know if in theaters, but
it's up to the Sports Star.
Oh, Mr. Colts talking, Mr. Dolphins, round 2 or whatever round this is.
Statistically, you have a point, but you were able to see that he was no longer able to function
No, I thought towards the end of the season he got better. He got more acclimated with his teammates. Jonathan Taylor obviously picked up the load a bit, but obviously I think Rivers still did very well. I think in that wild card game he held his own.
Oh, he did. Yeah.
No, I think obviously by a physical standpoint, he obviously isn't where he was 10 years ago.
I'm saying he is a player who has always needed the training camp to get better, and he hasn't been there. So if you were just to thrust them into the Colts offense, throw them into the wind, they're screwed. You can't do that.
I wouldn't say they're screwed, considering he's already had he's already been what's the word? Sorry. He's already known his teammates. He's already thrown to them. He has more experience than them. Obviously, training camp would be vital and be tough for him to miss a few practices. I doubt if he was signed, I'm sure he would be signed very, very soon. But I'd be if I was a Colts fan and they signed Rivers, I'd be like, it wouldn't be like, yes, we're gonna win the Super Bowl now, but it'd be a decent signing, especially even if he isn't gonna start. At least he's someone to test Jacob Eason to see. It's more of a stable building block, someone that can like sit in, do the job until Wentz gets back. Because I think with Rivers for the Colts, I think he is not a great quarterback, but I think he's an average quarterback, like a 15 to 20 range, which I think is fine for the Colts before Carson Wentz gets back.
All right, let's see. All right, I don't see anything here. We're gonna move on from the
Sports Star. Look at the Sports Star. Gold season's over. That's a bit bold. That is a bit bold.
I still think their defense is too good to rule them out.
Exactly, especially with Darius Leonard, with Darius Leonard, with the force.
Still, to this day, Darius Leonard is being slept on.
I actually kind of agree with that. I think a lot of people don't really recognize what a huge Mike linebacker he is for the. Wait, no, he's not a Mike linebacker. What am I saying? He is, but he's such a great. What a huge linebacker he is. Although the Colts did lose a few pieces this offseason. They did lose Anthony Walker. I feel like that's one of the more underrated losses of free agency. I felt like he was their Mike linebacker. And I thought he was a very important piece of that defense, and it was tough for them to leave. But again, you still have Buckner. You still have Darius Leonard. I'm sorry, bad with names today. You brought in Kwity Paye. I think this defense will still be very, very good. Whether or not top 5, I don't know about that, but
the team altogether is good enough to win 10-plus games. It's just when they're healthy, or not the quarterback is there to help them. I honestly don't know.
I
very, very, very slightly disagree. I think he's definitely top 2. In my opinion, it goes Warner, Leonard, Wagner, Devin White. But I can completely understand that.
No. Honestly, that's not even a bad take.
No, it's not. It's not.
No, I know you didn't say that, but I honestly might agree with that. Fred Warner did have a decent season, but he wasn't as good as he was 2 years ago during that Super Bowl run.
Well, he also didn't have any good players around him. They're all injured.
Yeah, obviously, I know.
Well, if you're in the
NFL, Leonard's been doing it for the past few years. I feel like he always slips under the radar. I think his biggest contenders for best linebacker in the NFL currently are, like you said, Fred Warner and what's his name, Devin White, and Levante David. So the Bucs linebackers and Fred Warner. But I think Darius Leonard definitely has a shout. I think if we're talking about best linebacker in the NFL, I would definitely consider his name.
So we've got some beef in the comments again.
Ooh,
I love this. Keep arguing.
Just telling them to keep arguing. This isn't good, Dylan.
No, well, what do you mean?
We need to preach contract. Not contract. What am I saying? Conflict resolution.
Nah, it's good.
But you can't win championships without you can't win a 39-year-old statue led up to 11-5 in a top 10 offense.
Top 10 offense is a little bit of a stretch, but I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt there.
True.
I'm not gonna bash you for it. Although they're in that stretch, I think he'll
really miss a few pieces of that offensive line without Anthony Costanza, without Quinn Nelson for start of the year, without Dennis Kelly. It could be a bit. It definitely won't be the same for Phillip Rivers because at this point in your career, when you're 39, when you're that age, you have to have a good offensive line to succeed in the National Football League. I mean, any quarterback does, but especially when you're older. And if the Colts offensive line really struggles to start a season, I think Phillip Rivers will look a lot worse than he did in 2020.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I was just looking at some Wentz stats because I'm going to pull something up right now. Carson Wentz and his injuries are obviously a problem, but in Philadelphia, he has been sacked a total of 179 times.
Jeez. Wait, in how many years?
Since 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. So that's 5 years.
5 years, 100. Wow.
He played 68 games.
I remember when he had the start of his career, his offensive line was actually very good. The Eagles had one of the best offensive lines, but with injuries, with aging, they've really looked a lot worse now. So I think that was the appeal of him going to Indianapolis.
Yeah, I think it's a very, very good fit. It's whether or not he is able to stay healthy. I think it's a great addition, and I think the Colts will be able to keep him healthy if he.
If he comes back and is like a very, very fully healed in the ankle, who knows how good he can be? Because remember, he's been doing this with since high school. So during that time he had a potential MVP season before before he tore his ACL. He had a very good season with Philly where he led them a terrible, terrible team to the playoffs 2 years ago. And while he struggled last year, that was also due to terrible play calling and inept offense around him. So if he gets this completely healed, if he gets this bone in his ankle completely fixed, and with probably the offensive line completely healthy and completely back by the time Wentz gets back, he can be. I'm not gonna say a specific number because there's so many good quarterbacks in the NFL now, but he can be one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, understood. And I'm gonna just put this out here. I wasn't saying Wentz being sacked is his fault. I'm saying he hasn't played behind a good line in a very, very long time, and he's ready to be in that spot.
To a certain extent, it kind of is his fault. Like, by the time, pressure holding on the ball too long. But then again, that also goes to the wide receivers.
We are an accepting community here, and we are not throwing the word casual around. We don't want to
hear we don't use the C word around here.
We don't use the C word.
Although some people admit to being a casual
because someone
thing.
said it to me on Twitter, and I almost got my account banned because I went crazy on
What? Dylan, call Dylan a lot of things, but never call him a casual.
Some Raiders fan called me a casual, and I just went off on him. I couldn't handle it.
You can't handle. I don't want to be. I think casuals are. When
we're just gonna pull.
When you're a sports analyst, it really hurts your ego to be called a casual.
We're just gonna pull this up here just to see.
Wentz is trash. Okay, are you a Cowboys fan? Are you a Washington fan? Or are you a...
I know you weren't talking to me.
Eagles
I was just
fan.
putting this out there. We don't like that word here.
Not that we don't like it, but like some people will get very, very upset, a.k.a. Dylan Shall and Mr. Dolphins. I was talking to...
We don't like Bills. No, I'm kidding.
Bills fan.
I can see that could be a point made, but Carson Wentz was also a very, very strong MVP candidate.
Honestly, one of the most underrated seasons in Carson Wentz's career was the 1920 season, like the season before he went terrible, where he led his team to, albeit like a very pedestrian 9-7 record, but he led the team to first in the NFC East. Again, not much of an accomplishment, but the team, when you look around them, the wide receiving core was horrible. The offensive line was regressing. The defense was regressing. And yet somehow Carson Wentz led the team to first in the division. I think that was he was the only reason why. Without Carson Wentz plugging many other quarterbacks from that season, I think the Eagles are like at best maybe a 7-9, 6-10 team. So I think...
All right, Colts talk. I don't want to have to ban you. Don't go saying that. And
okay. We don't have to. We're not gonna threaten to ban anyone. Come on.
No, you can't say that. I'm not gonna ban him. I was never going to. He makes the lives so much better. But you can't.
Oh yeah.
And Wentz, I don't think he's a bad QB. I don't think he is. I think he's had very bad line for a very long time, and I think he's ready to make a step up. But injuries are always going to be a concern. Fumbles are always going to be a concern. So you have to shore that up.
I hope he can fix many of his issues last year, because I think many of his issues were down to what organization he was with, the injuries they were dealing with, and who his head coach was. So I hope he can be a better quarterback, because prime Carson Wentz was actually very fun to watch, and I still think that. Remember, if he gets it all fixed up, I think he can. Who knows? Maybe he can get back to that level. I think it'll be difficult though.
Yeah.
Problem is, how good of a quarterback how good of a quarterback does he really need to be in that top 5 conversation? I think that'd be very difficult, considering though the amount of good quarterbacks where you have the Mahomes, the Allens, the Rodgers, the Wilsons, the Watsons. There's a lot of good quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson. Sorry.
All right. I have to break this down for you. A receiver and a quarterback, right? Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs.
Ooh. Ooh, I saw
Receiver
that
does
coming.
not make the quarterback does not make the receiver. Their partnership makes both of them better, but they do that work on their own. You cannot put a player that is as good as Josh Allen at this point down. You have to assume that he's good enough to do it without him.
Although he does have a point, though, that without Diggs, I don't think Allen would be the guy that this is as good as
and I agree
Mahomes
with
or
that.
Jackson. I agree with that.
Personally, I mean, him being compared to Mahomes, in my opinion, I don't think you compare
Although you
anyone
can use
other than Rodgers.
Yeah, although
And
go ahead.
I'm a big Lamar Jackson advocate, as anyone here knows. I think he's just such a dangerous player. But given off of last season, Josh Allen was just a different monster. So I'm not going to put one or the other ahead of the other because 2019 Lamar Jackson was the most dangerous quarterback I've ever watched. But 2020 Lamar Jackson compared to 2020 Josh Allen, that's a no.
I think it was very.
And that's also a no.
I think without top fit. I mean, to be honest, I think while you say that for Diggs, I think you could say the Mahomes would not be the same quarterback without Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce. Still probably top 5, but obviously, I think any quarterback is the same without.
All right. First of all, I agreed with you in principle. I think Lamar Jackson is super, super talented, but I can't put a ranking on them after last season because it was so conflicting.
I think it's so even on. I mean,
yeah.
no, I think for you it's so even. For me, I think Allen, but I can understand people say Lamar,
right.
Even after the playoff game where Allen did outplay Lamar Jackson.
I personally, this change varies from other people. I have some strong opinions on this. I dislike when people use the weapons argument for players. Like for quarterbacks, if someone says, well, Garoppolo doesn't have any weapons. Well, I'm like, well, some other quarterbacks haven't had weapons, then they've dealt with it fine. And then when for me, the real thing is when people say, well, Kelce wouldn't be so good without Mahomes, and then go and say Mahomes isn't good, he only has Kelce. That, it's just double standards. You got to
100%.
They're good with each other. It's not because of one another.
Yeah, both wouldn't be as good without the other. I think
they'd
both
still be good.
They're both. Yeah, of course they'd still be good, but they're both benefiting. They're benefiting from being placed with ultra worldly talent. Sorry.
No.
Oh.
I'm just gonna say no. Lamar Jackson was not being permitted to run in the first half of the season because the OC didn't want him to get hurt. You saw what he can do in the second half of the season and in the playoffs. You can't figure out a guy like Lamar Jackson because he's just so explosive.
Well, with the playoffs, are you talking about the Titans game where he was very solid, or are you talking about the Bills game? I think with Lamar,
I'm talking about the Titans, but
I know the Bills game was a different game. I think with Lamar, you can say the defenses have figured it out, but I think Lamar still has a lot of room to grow in his NFL career. Drastically he can improve. So just to say the defenders have figured out and Lamar's going to be washed and he's only going to be known for that one MVP, I think he still has a lot of room to get better. And I remember and I don't think Lamar's a top 5 quarterback, at least right now. I think he can be again, but I don't think he is at the moment. We have to remember that Lamar had a very poor offensive line, especially when Ronnie Staley got injured for the season. He really hasn't had a true number 1 wide receiver. Marquise Brown is really.
I'm excited for Bateman. I'm very.
I know that's what we're talking about. I think Bateman. He's been one of the more. Me and Dylan did a training camp video. Will be coming out soon. A lot of people are. A lot of people are very high on Rashad Bateman. I think we can see. I think we see a really big first season for Rashad Bateman.
All right, so I just want to get this out here right now. If Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen play at the same level this season, I'm going to stick with Lamar as my better quarterback. But I can't consciously say after last season, in which their levels were so differing, and it showed in the playoffs, it showed in the regular season, that Josh Allen is a worse quarterback than Lamar Jackson.
But you're not saying that Lamar is a worse quarterback than Josh Allen either.
I would more likely say that Lamar is better, but I can't make that justification after last season.
Yeah, I respect not going full Colin Cowherd to Baelish. We're just choosing to ride with the same player, even though they're clearly past it. Not saying that that's it with Lamar, but using logistics and using differing seasons to make your judgments. And I think
I'm taking my time on this one because I make some very, very
judgments,
hard snap judgments, and I stick with them. But I'm going to take my time on this one.
I think with Allen, with Lamar, I think it's a very interesting argument because I think it's very easy. And I remember I'm saying this also, but I'm saying it's very easy to say that Allen is better than Lamar. But I think a lot of people forget that how dangerous Lamar really was in that 2019 season, especially considering that the Ravens, while they did have a good offensive line, their offense wasn't really that good. Definitely wasn't at the level of Mahomes' supporting cast. I mean, obviously we shouldn't use the weapons excuse, but even then, it still has somewhat of a factor. And if Lamar does have maybe a better supporting cast around him, who knows? Maybe he can be that MVP quarterback again. I think he will, honestly.
Yo, you got anyone in here who wants to do my AP environmental science over the summer? I'd be very happy to give it to you. Nah. Ask his questions. Lamar over Josh Allen, my bad. Yeah, I can't really make a judgment. I'm very, very conflicted on this
If
one.
you say Allen's better than Lamar, you need to stay off the weed. I mean, I do think Allen's better than Lamar. I think you can't say that. Colts talk. I think Allen's better than Lamar at the moment. I think obviously it's varying based on seasons, but at the moment, Allen in my opinion, is a more high potential guy, and I think he's played at probably the same level that Lamar is. Not the same level, but very similar level to Lamar's played at last season. We're using this season mainly as the deciding factor for who are the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And while obviously I said that Lamar does have room for improvement, I think Allen has even more room for improvement, even more room for growth. I think Allen did take his team to the AFC Championship game. I still think Lamar is a very good quarterback, and I think we could see Lamar and Allen in AFC Championship very, very soon, even though Patrick Mahomes may never permit that.
You know what? I have said just now that Allen is the same as Lamar, and I think they're very equal. But I honestly said that to avoid conflict, and that's just not me. I think Lamar Jackson is a better quarterback than that Josh Allen. I'm just going to put that out there right now. I think Lamar Jackson is better, but I can't justify a big stance on that based on last season. So I'm not going to go full blown.
Yeah, I mean, I love to avoid conflict. It's just like
I love conflict.
Dylan runs into the fire.
Matt Judon is one of the most underrated players in defensive NFL history.
In NFL history,
I've only been alive for 16 years. I can't tell you how good 1970s players were, but from what I've watched, Matthew Judon has never gotten recognition. He's excellent.
Not only Judon, but Ngakoue. When free agency happened, I assume they were at least going to re-sign Orlando, obviously. I think it was very surprising that they traded them to one of their fiercest rivals for the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs. But I think it was very surprising when they didn't even re-sign one of Judon and Ngakoue. I know they got Jason Owa in the draft, but I feel like he's more of a project guy. He's going to step in and be that day one. I
can't see him getting into that lineup anytime soon.
Exactly. I think we could see the Ravens' defensive line, not only pass rush, but also the run defense will really take a big step back. I still think their secondary is as good as ever with Marlon Humphrey, with Marcus Peters, with Jimmy Smith. I think it's still one of the best in the NFL. But that defensive line, that front seven, is definitely taking a big hit with the losses of Judon and Ngakoue.
All right.
Cold stock. I think I had used which comment are you looking at? There's I see what you're saying, but Lamar is slightly better. He's a better weapon. He's a more dangerous player. I understand that, but I think, and I'm not gonna be like, one of those people like, Lamar's a running back and he's not a quarterback, and that's the reason why he's not good. Obviously, he is, but it's clear.
One sec. I thought you were saying that seriously for a second. I was very close to kicking you from the stream. So,
no. I'm saying that I'm saying that as a joke.
I caught on to it that you weren't saying that seriously.
I think with even though that he obviously isn't a running back and he's actually a very underrated pocket passer in the National Football League, I think Allen's mid-range and deep passing game, especially from the pocket, is very clean and much more polished than Lamar at the moment. And I think Josh Allen at the moment has really led his teams to more success in the playoffs than Lamar, which obviously does have an impact. Obviously, again, taking into supporting cast, obviously, Josh Allen does have it a lot better this year. His defense didn't have a great season, but in the postseason they really stepped up. I think obviously his receiving core with Diggs, Lamar's never had a wide receiver like Diggs. He also has Cole Beasley, Gabe Davis, and Isaiah McKenzie. And I think obviously that's much more scary. But I think I would say Allen's slightly better. Not slightly. I think he is a better quarterback, but I think Lamar could definitely take that from him in 2021. I think with the yeah, exactly, with the potential these two guys have and the room for these guys to grow, I think I could see this going year by year. What everyone flip flopping, including myself, saying, "Oh, this guy's a better quarterback." No, now this guy. No, that guy. Remember, there's going to be a lot of other quarterbacks that join those discussions. Okay, Slasher. We can see another argument here. Okay, only dangerous because of how.
All right, let me start this off. If you haven't watched our PFF grade video, I very strongly advise it. You get to hear me yell at a camera. So,
let's go.
Yeah, so in that video, I basically broke down the quarterbacks that were a bit higher placed on the list than Lamar Jackson, and broke down that they all had worse passing stats than Lamar Jackson, and that was Matt Ryan, Baker Mayfield, I believe Derek Carr, and I believe Matthew Stafford. They were all on that list, and Lamar Jackson had better stats than all of those guys. And then on the ground, he's better. And I'm not saying that he's a better passer than Josh Allen, because saying that would just be absurd. But Lamar Jackson's ability on the ground and in the air, which is very underrated, by the way. He led the league in touchdown passes in 2019. That type of form, that's not form. That's quality, and that doesn't go away after a season. You have to remember that's a COVID season. That's a season that's just you don't sweep it away, but you kind of have to remember it's very, very strange for those players to be playing in those circumstances. The Ravens played on a Wednesday. Like, it's just weird.
That's NFL season. It's extremely weird. I think while I agree that right now, at least he's very mediocre in terms of his, again, I said mid-range, deep ball, it's very mediocre. I thought he was one of the better, like, remember in 2019, he had the best pass rating in the National Football League during that MVP season. I think he also had one of the best. It
doesn't go away.
And also, I think he had one of the best completion percentages from the pocket. I think, obviously, a lot of those throws were intermediate and short, which is why that helped, obviously, his yards per attempt and the obviously completion percentage and his pocket passing stats. But I think based on his ability and his statistics, I think he isn't a mediocre passer. I think he's a bit better than mediocre. I think obviously he has room to grow in terms of his more his 10 to 15 yard games, 15 to 20 yard passes. That has a lot of room for growth, which is probably the reason why it really has been knocked out so early. It's not that you force Lamar to pass, it's that you force Lamar to pass steep, because once he's passed steep, his accuracy takes a steep decline compared to the likes of Mahomes or Allen or Watson or Rodgers. So that's the reason why I think I just keep saying that's the reason why Allen is better than Lamar. I'm trying to explain myself there.
Okay. Chalk. Is it overrated?
Is chalk overrated?
Yeah, I need a serious answer.
I mean, now does anyone even use that? They always have like the Microsoft Touch things, like whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
chalk is old school.
It's low-key, it's slept on though, because like
not chalk against like the blackboard, like when it makes those weird sounds, like.
Nah, like I got a blackboard right here. Watch.
See, I don't really like that sound.
I made a drawing. All right, let's
back to football. Back to football. Okay, we need more. We need more questions.
Otherwise, that is what we're getting.
Otherwise, you're gonna hear this chalk sound.
Y'all rocking with my cat?
Oh yeah. Oh, I thought it was gonna be a real cat. He actually does have. You have two cats.
Yeah.
So.
All right, I'll ask a question in the comments so we can answer it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, favorite rapper. Dylan, this is your question.
All right.
Dylan, this is your question.
Y'all heard of Sleepy Hollow? That's my guy. That's my guy right there. Sleepy Hollow. If you've never heard of him, check him out. Mainstream, I'll tell you, Polo G slaps. Polo G slaps.
I don't really... Yeah, go ahead.
Not on Playboy Cardi. Not on any of the old school guys. I've only started listening like probably 2 years ago, so I'm not really on none of the Kanye, none of the Lil Wayne stuff. For me, favorite rapper, Sleepy Hollow, Chef G, Polo G, Pop Smoke, R.I.P. Woo. I feel very cringy saying this in my house in
Okay, what should be a question? Who? Oh, yeah. Okay, here's the question. Dylan, you can type it in the comments as you're on the account. Who do you think will be the top 5 quarterbacks in the National Football League by the end of the season?
Top 5 quarterbacks.
By the end of the season. Not now, by the end of the season.
All right. 1, Patrick Mahomes. He's going to solidify that. 2, I'm rolling with my gut. I'm saying Lamar Jackson.
He's going to be the second best quarterback in the National Football League by the end of the season.
Rodgers has very little help again. And I hate that narrative. I do. But they've done nothing to strengthen their team. And that's just offense in general.
I really like the Amari Rodgers pick.
That's not strengthening his.
I know that's not significant, but and remember they did re-sign Randall Cobb.
Yeah, but that's really just a familiar face type thing. And I was on the This Just In podcast yesterday, and he was talking about Amari Rodgers and Randall Cobb's special connection. Randall Cobb really mentored Amari Rodgers throughout his entire NFL, his college career. So I think it's more of a connections play more than a on the field play.
Yeah, I got that. I think so. You have one Mahomes, 2 Allen, who's 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. So I've got Mahomes, Jackson. I'm going to put Rodgers. I'm not going to put Deshaun Watson on this list because I have no idea what's happening.
Yeah.
So
right.
Josh Allen is 4, and I'm going to put.
Some people think Herbert or Murray can slide into that top 5, even Baker.
I love this, but my 5 is going to be. I don't want to make a stretch, so I'm just going to say Brady. I don't. I could be outlandish, and I could say Murray. I could say Prescott. I could say Herbert. So for me, honestly, those were my joke top 5. Of course, my number 1 quarterback in the NFL. I'm going to start from 5. 5, in my opinion, it's got to be Chad Henne. He's still got it.
Mm-hmm.
4, I'm going to say Garrett Gilbert. I really like his talent.
Okay. And by the way, we're not going to be too mainstream, so we're not going to reference Peter Goat. I think that one is kind of starting to die.
3, and I think he really showed out last year. He won a Super Bowl, Nick Foles.
Oh. Okay.
2, I'm actually going to give the Texas legend himself, Colt McCoy.
Yes. Okay, can I say number 1? I think number 1.
No. I'm giving you my number 1. Tua Tagovailoa. You saw it coming, didn't you?
You're putting Dylan. You really changed. You've gone from really backing your starting quarterback to now putting him in a meme category.
I'm just saying it for Colts talk.
Okay, fair enough.
He's not in a
Personally,
meme category.
I think there's no conversation for number 1. Won the Super Bowl. Plays for the Buccaneers. Obviously, the greatest quarterback of all time. Drafted before Blaine Gabbert. Start putting some respect on his name.
We've got 1 viewer.
Wow. Not surprised, though. I think speaking of Tua, I think he's been getting a lot of headlines. I think his connection with Albert Wilson has been very good. So
he's done excellently. I'm really happy about it. And I honestly, I project confidence when it comes to him because I don't want to be wrong. But going after the second day of OTAs and then the first couple of days of training camp, I thought Brissett was outperforming him. And now Colts talk, we love you. And personally, I was nervous that Brissett was going to outperform, and those daily pictures would keep coming. And right now, I'm just very, very pleased with how Tua has been progressing, especially his connection with Albert Wilson and his connection with Waddle. Hopefully, Gesicki and Parker get back into the lineup sometime soon. So, yeah.
I saw this Twitter. I know this is going to be back to bashing Tua, but I saw this tweet. I showed it to you, Dylan, from a very famous troll that you may know of.
Barry McCockiner.
Exactly, who said that Tua Tagovailoa is going to be the Marvin Bagley, and Justin Herbert, who's back draft out, is going to be like Luka Doncic. I don't know if you follow the NBA. Marvin Bagley was he plays for the Kings, I think. Still,
yeah. He
was drafted before now young phenom Luka Doncic. I think a lot of people think it could be a similar thing with Tua and Herbert. I think when you look at it in terms of physical ability, and in terms of physical talent, yes, I think Herbert is the significantly more gifted athletically. I think he's a mobility. I think he's a bit more mobile, has a cannon for an arm. He's obviously adapted to the NFL better than Tua, even if wins and losses do not signify that. But I kind of have to agree with that I think Tua being like the significantly overshadowed one, of the guy that people look back on is like, why did you take this guy? I think that's a bit too early for that. I think especially considering Tua is another one of those young quarterbacks that really has a lot of room to grow. But that's a definite possibility.
Yeah, it's a possibility. I'm not going to deny it. I think Herbert's a much better quarterback at the moment, but I wouldn't make the judgment quite yet.
Yeah. He hopes Colts hopes Brissett outperforms too. He did for the first few games. Speaking of Brissett, the Colts will probably want to have him at the moment, especially with the Wentz situation.
Tough.
What?
I said that's tough.
That is tough. I mean, tough seeing him, am I right? I mean, I think Brissett, though, he's, like you said, Dylan, you said he's the best backup in the NFL. I think.
No, he's not. The best backup in the NFL, in my opinion, at the moment, it's Justin Fields. But that
is true. He technically is a backup.
That could be completely off, though. I don't know.
I mean, I think it's hard to call a rookie quarterback the best backup in the NFL, especially when that quarterback isn't Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. So that's one reason why
Minshew's up there for best backup.
That is true. I'm surprised he hasn't gotten traded by now, though.
Yeah, everyone give us your best backup in the league, and now I'm very curious what you guys think, because I honestly don't know. It could be Taysom Hill.
No. No, not Taysom. Like,
I think that's better than all those guys, but
I think it's tough, though. I think I literally am just about to contradict myself, but
I mean Mariota.
I said that you can't say rookie quarterbacks, but Mac Jones is probably the most polished besides Trevor Lawrence rookie quarterback. So
no.
Why no?
No.
I wouldn't say he's a lock.
Mac Jones is not a better quarterback than the following: Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson.
But I'm saying backup.
Trey Lance, and Justin Fields.
I'm talking about in terms of backup. Lawrence and Wilson will not be backups.
Yeah. Lance and Fields are better quarterbacks than Mac Jones. You said it in the pre-draft. I hope you still believe it.
But when I'm talking about who better quarterbacks, I base it off four things. I combine it with potential, with starting readiness, with athletic ability, and with ability to be coached. I think combined, Mac Jones is the worst. But in terms of just one category, which is readiness immediately to go in and be the starting quarterback, I think Mac Jones would be. Would be right up there with Trey Lance, is the most pro-ready quarterback out of that draft.
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you say that.
Justin Fields is Trey Lance is the project. Justin Fields is the guy that I feel like is going to be the best out of those guys. Well, I think Lawrence, and then Mac Jones is the Case Keenum of those guys.
Case Keenum. I think I would go a step up there and think.
I
would say, no, Case Keenum is a bad thing for a top 15 pick.
Oh yeah, he shouldn't have been a top 15 pick.
Unless he has the. I think it's. I'm gonna say step up. I say Jones is the Kirk Cousins of this draft, which isn't bad.
Mac Jones, if you're one of our 3 viewers. Hi.
No way. No way.
Now
someone just changes their account to Mac Jones.
Hi guys, I'm Keenan Allen.
I'm Keenan Allen. But I think so. Who do you think will be the best? So you think Fields will be the best quarterback out of that draft?
Yes.
Like the most.
I think Lawrence, then Fields, then Wilson, then Trey Lance, then Davis Mills, then Kellen Mond, then Mac Jones, then Kyle Trask.
I would say, Trask last. I'm surprised about that, considering he's going to be inheriting probably still one of the best teams in the NFL.
He's not getting that offense. He's not inheriting that. There's no way.
I think he is. I mean, obviously, I think if he needs to leave, I think Brown will leave.
Think Chronicles of Christian?
Brown will leave. I think Fournette might leave. We could see Godwin leave. But I think a lot of these players will still be here. Dylan just has to go for a second. He'll be right back. He's still here. And, but I think in terms of where was I? In terms of best, in terms of Kyle Trask, I think he could still inherit one of the best rosters in the National Football League. Brady himself said that his time is coming to an end. I think he said he wants to play till 45. I think he's starting to think that past 45 is probably not attainable. So I'd say 2 more seasons, this season and the next season, you probably want to cap that off with a Super Bowl win. And I think you'll probably still have Mike Evans. I think you'll still have a young, very hungry defense with Devin White, with Antoine Winfield, with Vita Vea, Sean Murphy, Bunting, Carlton Davis. I think the defense will be good. I still think with Ronald Jones and Keyshawn Vaughn, they have high hopes on the second-year running back. I think, who knows, that'll still be good. I still think the wide receiver core will still be good with Tyler Johnson and Scotty Miller. I remember the offensive line with Wirfs, Sally Marpet, Ryan Jensen. I think it's still obviously not as good as the Tom Brady team, the Super Bowl winning team, but I still think you'll have one of the better supporting cast that any of these rookie quarterbacks will have in their entire career. So I don't think he'll be the least successful one.
His name is actually Christian. All right. So in the next maybe 10, 20 minutes, I'm going to have to run downstairs to get a charger. So hold tight for that. All right, let's hear it. In the comments, give me your top 5 tight ends. I want to hear it. I've been very, very intrigued.
I think the top 3 are a lock.
I do too, but I wouldn't be surprised if statistically it's not.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
All right, so I say number 1, Kelsey, very easily.
Yes.
Number 2, Kittle. Number 3, Waller. Number 4, Hawkinson. Number 5, Andrews.
I'm surprised they didn't put Gesicki there.
Gesicki's my 6, and I was very, very, very tempted to put him over Andrews, but I can't do that after 2019 season.
For once, I'm actually going to be nicer to the Dolphins than you are. I'm actually going to put Gesicki at 5 instead of Andrews. Although Andrews did have a decent season, but I think Lamar made him a lot better looking than he actually was.
And that's an argument I dislike very strongly, but...
Oh, yeah, Kyle Pitts here. No, we're not putting that there.
Kyle Pitts,
he's a rookie.
He hasn't played a snap yet. I'm not going to put him in there. If I had to take him in fantasy, I would. But...
Yeah. I'd maybe take him a top 5 tight end. I could see him like the 5th off the board after Hawkinson. But obviously not top 5 right now because he hasn't played a single snap.
What I was saying statistically is TJ Hawkinson is the only weapon on the Detroit Lions that is notable by name. So he's going to get a lot of targets, which means I think he might have a better statistical season than maybe George Kittle.
Ooh, that's a bit of a hot take.
No. And
that's not even that crazy.
It's not a crazy opinion, and it's an opinion that a lot of people have. But I just don't see how you can say that after the season that Travis Kelce just had. Like, riding the hot hand is key, and I don't want to hear he has Mahomes and Kittle has Garoppolo, because that's a little bit important, but as the main argument, that can't be said.
And remember, Kittle's also going to have a decrease in targets if he does have Mahomes, because remember, he's also going to be with Tyreek Hill and McCole Hardman and other...
That whole argument is so slanted in every way. It makes a little bit of a difference, but both of them make each other better. It's not completely correspondent on one or the other.
I think Kittle still has a decent argument, considering he is probably the second best receiving tight end in the National Football League and is the best blocking tight end in the National Football League.
Second, you can't forget Nick Boyle, best blocking tight end in the football.
That is okay, fine, Nick Boyle, but I still think Kelsey's one of the significantly better blocking tight end than Travis Kelce. I think that puts him in the argument. I would still put Kelce one, but I think Kittle definitely has the argument. Okay, as I asked the chat a question, I'm gonna ask them something. So me and Charlie did a video, actually, one that really hurt our brains. We ranked, we looked at every single top 10 Madden ratings for each position.
Oh,
and there were so many terrible ratings. So I want to ask you guys, which one was the worst? Which one was the worst?
For me, the fact that they didn't have Zach Sealer as a 99 defensive lineman, Miami Dolphins, that really bothered.
Okay, all seriousness.
The worst one, in my opinion, was downgrading Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Oh yeah. Oh, yes, I 100% agree. I think that was a terrible. I think he was ranked 10 in terms of safeties. I would have honestly put him at 1. I think
I would have put him at 1. I agree.
I think he was the best safety in the National Football League. I think it's outrageous some of the guys they haven't had. I think Madden nowadays, the ratings at least, are more of a popularity contest. Like, how can you say with a straight face that guys like J.J. Watt, Fletcher Cox, Devin McCourty, and probably a few others that I'm forgetting are still top 5 at their positions when they've been significantly regressing from years.
I'm gonna try. J.J. Watt, Fletcher Cox, Devin McCourty are top 5 at their position. I did it. I said it was a straight face. I said it was a straight face.
Oh, you didn't mean it.
No.
Okay. I thought you were saying you meant it. Like you're saying it like.
No. J.J. Watt is past his prime. Fletcher Cox, I don't know if he's going to play the whole year. And Devin McCourty just held out. Respect to my Nyack guy. But
either Madden, either the people who do the ratings don't watch football, or they know that it's a popularity contest, so they just put the biggest names at the top. Probably the second one.
I think what bothered me the most personally was that for the tight ends bothered me a lot because, like, come on now. Hunter Henry is not better than Hawkinson and Gesicki.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Austin Hooper is nowhere near that. Gronkowski's past his prime. I'm going to go get my chart.
Gronkowski
lagging a lot, so just hold on.
Yeah, good. But yeah, I agree. I think Gronkowski, though, had a good end of the season, but I still think, again, him being above the Hawkinson and Gesicki, I think that's a bit too much. I'm going to look at some of the chat. Nelson at 95 was awful. I'm sorry, I can't show any comments considered because Dylan's the one who controls it. But I think Nelson definitely deserves to be a bit higher. I think Nelson has been, ever since he got into the league, one of the, I think, the premier offensive guard in the National Football League. And I think he should be at least 2 ratings higher. Another ratings that I also did not like, I think me, Dylan, and Charlie all share this opinion, is that in the cornerback ratings, when Jalen Ramsey was made a 99 overall, which I don't have a serious problem with that. But then when you put who I think and who a lot of others think to be the best cornerback in the NFL, Jair Alexander at a 95, 4 ratings below Jalen Ramsey, I think that's very, I don't know, I think that's just wrong because I think Jair, even if you think Jalen is a better quarterback, I think it's more better. I think it's more fair to put Jair as like a 98 or a 97 because I feel like Jair and Jalen are more 1A and 1B than Jair is here and Jalen is here and Jair is here, which just isn't true. But that's how Madden are seeing it.
Jalen Ramsey is overrated.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Darius had an 89. That's bad.
Yeah, that's messed up. You can't have that.
What was he in terms in the linebacker, middle linebacker?
I'm gonna look that up right now.
Linebacker. Oh, Dylan, you have like a big breeze from your headset.
That for real?
Yeah. Like, yeah, it's okay. It's better now. Just talk into it. Okay, I think it's good. It's good. Oh. Nah, it's fine. Oh, I think it's just you breathing into it. So I think you have to to put it a bit. Yeah, move it back.
Got you.
There we go. Now it's good. Okay, I'm just going to middle linebacker, Madden 22. Yep.
And I am there. It's got. It says the rankings haven't been released on the thing I'm looking at, which is just.
No, it has. It has.
I know. I couldn't believe that J.J. Watt was higher ranked than like Nick and Joey Bosa and Cam Jordan.
Also Cam Jordan. How is he on there? I mean,
Cam Jordan.
He's still good, but like again, like I don't know if he's still top 10. Because remember, Trey Hendrickson.
I think he's still consistent top 10.
I don't know about that. I think I understand that, but
I get that they can't give DK Metcalf a great rating this early because he's still very, very shaky as a catcher. But I would want to see him in the top 10 personally. And I know that's a very unpopular opinion, and I know
AJ Brown as well.
No, actually. I've recently come to the opinion that I think DK Metcalf's a more dangerous player than AJ Brown.
Ooh.
I went from McLaurin to Brown to DK to Brown to DK.
So sad Terry McLaurin.
And now I'm at Zardes because Daryl DK can't score.
I'm going. Darius is 6th in terms of linebackers. That's bad.
Yeah, that's just not right.
That's just bad.
It's just not right.
There's the disrespect they show to so many of the players.
They give disrespect to the players that don't have the biggest names, and
Chase Young. Well, Chase Young, he was like an 82. Am I right? Or I don't know.
I didn't see them all, but
it's just some of these are just flat out wrong and so out of touch that you just know. Like even the casual fans. And this is even without mentioning that Josh Allen was an 88 overall and Tom Brady was a 97 ahead of Aaron Rodgers, who literally came off an MVP season.
All right.
It's bad.
I will snack any of you guys in Madden, but I won't because I don't know if I'm going to download the next one because it's going to be terrible.
All Maddens are terrible. I mean, we buy them no matter what because they have the exclusive license.
I honestly might not this year. I'm rocking with the show right now. I'm like,
oh yeah, the show's pretty good, honestly. Me and Dylan having so many epic battles.
Every single one of.
Okay, we don't need to talk about that.
Hey, we're talking about this Bo Bichette walk-off grand slam right now.
Oh my god. So in linebackers, Darius Leonard was behind Fred Warner, Levante David, Bobby Wagner, Demario Davis, Eric Hendricks, and that's it. I think Wagner should not be behind. He should not be behind Demario Davis. And I think he has the argument for being ahead of the rest. But I can understand it. Although, I think I would definitely put him ahead of Kendricks, even though Kendricks had a very good season. I mean, when he was injured, you could see the difference in the Vikings defense. It was like night and day. But I think there's a lot of I think the disrespect to put him behind Davis, who I get 2 seasons ago he was an All-Pro, but wasn't at the same level, and Wagner, who has been regressing every season and obviously isn't the same player that he was during the Legion of Boom days.
Yeah, Bobby Wagner's obviously declined a little bit. He's still a top linebacker. But
I think
Darius Leonard's a better player.
Okay. Thank you, Colts Talk. Good night.
Yeah, thank you so much. Love having you in the streams.
Yeah, he carries the streams.
Looking forward to proving you wrong.
Ooh. The spice. So how many people do we have the stream right now?
We got 2. I don't know if Colts Talk's still in here. If you want us to keep talking about the NFL, comment NFL.
NFL. Do you know this? A lot of people probably wouldn't have heard this, but have you ever heard of do you know what the NFL is? NFL. Like they did this series on. Yeah. There was this one crazy video where the guy who does it, Dave Damashek, did a video and where what if Cam Newton went to the Broncos and somehow psychically said and said as a joke that Tim Tebow would turn into a tight end for the Broncos, given that Cam would be with the. He said that he said that, I swear on my life, in 2014.
I believe you, but that's crazy.
Yeah, and he said it was a joke. You could tell he never even believed it. And he said he literally said you can't spell Tebow without T-E. And he said, if that was right, Tebow becomes a tight end. I'm like, how did he predict that?
I cannot believe that. That's crazy.
Yeah, although he got the wrong team, but I mean,
still though.
That's unbelievable that he was able to do that. That Tim Tebow. And we all still thought it was stupid until this year where he not only returned, but as a tight end. Did you see he had that nice catch though from Trevor Lawrence in the training camp? I think he had that nice catch though from Trevor Lawrence during training camp. You see that?
Yeah.
Although one of the things I noticed from
Internet's gonna break when that happens in the NFL.
I hope that happens. Although one of the things I noticed is that Trevor Lawrence, did you see he was holding the ball a bit long? It kind of had a bit of lack of feel for pressure. Obviously, they wouldn't hit him because he's the star rookie quarterback and he's in training camp. But I don't know.
Oh no, Jacksonville. It's wild.
Yeah, and he'll still be obviously he'll show why he is the top prospect in the NFL. But I think that's obviously something to look out for. He's obviously not I don't think he's the perfect prospect that everyone hails him as. I don't think he's as good as Andrew Luck was coming out of college, as polished at least. I still think he can be better, obviously, overall as a career, but he's gonna need a bit of help along the way. And I think Jacksonville have done a good job of recruiting that help with Marvin Jones. Obviously, they have decent, promising rookie receivers like Laviska Shenault and a good running back in Travis Etienne. Isn't he also working out as a wide receiver? Correct me if I'm wrong there.
He is working out as a wide receiver, but I feel like that was just very early in OTAs, and I don't even think that's gone into training camp.
Yeah, that's smart, honestly.
So, what's it called? I forgot what I was gonna say. That's really annoying.
I know, especially in the middle of a live stream.
Yeah,
I hate when that.
I had a prompt. Damn.
No.
All right, guys. In the comments, this is a Q&A. If anyone here is new, let us know.
If we don't get that many more comments, we might actually wrap it up early.
Yeah.
Just because we'll keep it going for another 10 minutes. If we don't really get much, then we might just end it the year.
We're relying on you now.
We're relying. We need help. Another prompt. We gotta think of something.
Oh.
Jets training camp. Talk about my favorite team.
Yeah, I mean,
I think we got the Zach Wilson issue resolved, and I think we're looking a bit on the up. Is your screen frozen? I can't tell.
I fooled you.
Damn it, Dylan. I think it was really good to get finally the contract, the stupid offset talk resolved. That was really frustrating. I think it'll be fine. One of the few concerning things that Denzel Mims has really been struggling during training camp. He was moved to the third strings, I believe, and moved Vincent Jackson, I think.
Yeah, Vincent Jackson.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he probably won't play much.
Jackson.
But I think Mims will get back into it. It's just a slow start. I hope this is an infection issue with Zach Wilson, because otherwise he might get overshadowed by Davis or Moore, or even Keelan Cole or Jameson Crowder. I hope that happens. I think that doesn't happen. I hope that doesn't happen. I think Mims will be fine. Just
honestly, it doesn't matter as long as you get wins. So
obviously, but I want to see Mims succeed. Like, he was one of the players that I was most excited about coming out of last year's draft. Though I felt like we got a steal late second.
Drop some questions, guys. We are in dire need of new talking prompts.
Do you think that might just be us, honestly?
I'm not in it.
Oh, okay. Dylan, not putting you're not really dedicating yourself.
I want to see who's actually in the stream.
Yeah, sure.
And that means it's just us in it. The one.
Uh-oh.
You want to end it?
We might just end it then.
All right. Thanks everyone for coming. See you guys for the next one. It wasn't our most attended one.
That's fine.
But I believe that is the lack of Kian, and we're really missing him here. Come back to us.
We need the lack of the moderator. Yeah, that guy. He'll be back.
He'll be back.
He will be back.
Thanks for coming.
Kian will return. Kian will return to D Sports Cube.
I am going to do this very quickly so Alexander does not clip this and play it on his phone repeatedly.